If you're already running ads, then your ad account is buying learning every single day. Here's the ugly part though. Most businesses forget what they learned by next Monday. Your campaign should not have to start over. It should remember the last one, and it could if you have a campaign memory layer, which is what I'm about to show you here. So stay with me for a few minutes because if you're running real advertising, this is probably costing you more than you think. When you run an ad, the viewer sees a video or a thumbnail or maybe a headline, and that's the smallest visible piece of the whole thing. Behind that one ad, there's a hook, an angle, a landing page, a tracker, a CRM, a book call, a sales conversation, and a decision about what to test next. Maybe we should pause it, maybe we should scale it. So there is all of that on your end, and the viewer sees maybe 10 seconds. So you have to manage that entire chain. And when that chain lives inside your head, you become the bottleneck. So here's the reframe. Most teams do not have a traffic problem first, they have a memory problem. Your dashboard tells you what happened, spend, clicks, cost per lead. It does not tell you which hook pulled that lead, which page they saw, which buyer you were trying to talk to, or what to try next. So performance tracking tells you what happened, but it rarely tells you why that ad test even existed in the first place. And that's why running ads can get expensive here because the business ends up buying that same lesson over and over and over again. So you pay once when the ad runs, and you pay again when the team argues about the numbers. You pay again when somebody has to rebuild the story from scratch. And you pay again when the next campaign launches cold, even though the last campaign already taught you something worth keeping. So data without context is just numbers you forget. And now I know you felt this, right? It's the Monday campaign review where the owner is staring at the spend, the marketing person is looking at campaigns, the CRM person is buried in contacts, and your salespeople are complaining about the lead quality. And somebody is trying to remember which video version even ran. Everybody has a piece of the truth, and nobody has the whole chain. And the first 20 minutes of that call disappears answering questions that should already be obvious. And at some point, you stop needing another random campaign. You need a proper media buyer, but a proper media buyer is not just a person who's pushing buttons inside of Google Ads, YouTube, or Meta. A proper media buyer protects the signal. They know what was tested and why. They know when a lead quality complaint is real and when sales is just having a bad week. They know which creative deserves more budget and which creative needs to be buried. They protect the one thing that tells your business what to do next. So that's why this was built by me as someone who lived inside that type of fast moving environment for longer than I'd like to admit. Not really a motivational marketing guru or anything, just a real operator pushing big spends inside ad accounts. MySpace era advertising, super early in the video monetization space, Google and YouTube ads, Meta, LinkedIn, programmatic. I've seen it all and I live to tell the tale here. And I've operated inside the entire back end of the marketing too, talking about tracking, funnels, CRMs, high ticket offers, omni-channel accounts, and millions in ad spend managed and watched across different markets and different traffic sources. So after enough time inside that machine, the same pattern kept showing up. The conclusion became impossible to ignore that most accounts do not fail only because the ad is bad. They fail because the learning had nowhere durable to live. The hook tells you what grabbed attention, the page tells you what creates action, the call tells you what the market is objecting to, but all of it scatters across dashboards, spreadsheets, Slack threads, reports, and somebody's memory. So, this was not built because AI got trendy. It was built because campaign learning, creative decisions, and media buying operations became too valuable to keep trapped in one operator's head. So, here's what that means for you and your team. Today, your people carry too much of the operating weight inside their heads. They re-explain the offer, they rebuild context, they hunt for the next move, they remember what changed, what failed, what was approved, and what should happen next. TubeScale Pro absorbs the repeatable part of that weight. So your team stops being the memory container and goes back to the work only people should do: strategy, creative judgment, implementation, and the calls that actually move the business. And it starts with video because video is still the front end of paid acquisition, and it just keeps growing year over year. It's been like that for the past 20 years in the online video monetization space. A video ad is not just an ad format. It tests your hook in public. It teaches the market before a single sales call. It surfaces objections before sales ever hears them. It gives you the first real signal about what the market is willing to stop and consider. So the question is not just, did the video get views or what's my view rate? The question is, did the business keep what the video taught it? And then that attention has to become a book conversation. The ad gets that click, the CRM is what keeps that lead from disappearing. Capture, follow up, reminders, booking, routing, no show recovery all have to stay connected to where the lead came from and what they saw. Because a stronger ad with a weak follow up is still a leaky bucket. And I think it's important to note that most businesses do not lose people just at one point. They leak intent across the entire path. The video gets attention, the page has to convert it, the form has to capture it, the CRM has to route it, the follow up has to keep it warm, the calendar has to book it, the call has to create feedback, and that feedback has to become the next creative decision. That is the loop most businesses never close. And that's the difference between the old way and the new way. The old model collects data and forgets the context. The new model remembers it. Memory plus intelligence turns raw campaign signals into better next decisions. Every campaign is supposed to make the next campaign smarter, and most never do. So the piece that makes all this work has a name, and we call it the Agentic Acquisition Engine. And in plain English, it's an acquisition memory layer that connects your ad, your page, your tracking, your CRM, your calendar, your sales feedback, and your next creative decision. So your next campaign starts informed instead of cold. That's the mechanism here. It's not just add more ads, it's a system that remembers. And if this is hitting home to you, the audit link is below. Book it and bring your details. But if you want to see how it works first, then stay with me here. So, what we have here is no longer one person trying to hold everything in their head. Inside the system, specialized agent workers carry out the repeatable weight. One organizes hooks, angles, scripts, offers, claims, proof, and buyer states. One protects tracking, UTMs, source fields, campaign names, events, and reporting logic. One keeps CRM capture, booking reminders, no-show recovery, and follow-up all connected. One checks that the work actually matches the source materials, the offer, the promise, and the improved campaign path. And one helps turn campaign results, sales feedback, and tracker data into the next clean move. Different specialists, one shared memory. Now, a lot of the language I have here on this slide is mostly just internal jargon, like Claude MD, the index, the vault. You do not need to remember these terms right now. I'm just showing you this so you could see it's not just another chatbot prompt or one more AI wrapper. A chatbot can be brilliant for a moment, then it forgets your entire business and you have to re explain everything again. This system gives AI a place to stand, your operating rules, your source material, your campaign history, your decisions, your receipts, and durable memory to read from. It does not rely on a chat window remembering everything. It gives the business a structured memory layer. And when we hop on a call, we can go deeper into how this is structured if that matters for your situation. And it finally makes testing mean something. Most testing creates more confusion because nobody remembers what changed or why. Here, every variable has a home: the script, the hook, the opening scene, the offer angle, the landing page, the image, the headline, ad copy, source, the result, and the next decision. Without that discipline, every test creates more noise. With it, every test creates more intelligence. And this is where it gets a little different from the traditional agency down the street. Most agencies sell activity, more campaigns, more creative, more reports, more meetings, more reaction. Activity can look productive when the business stays confused. TubeScale Pro is different because the goal is not just to launch more ads. The goal is to create an acquisition operating layer that remembers what happened and improves the next decision. The goal is not just to stay busy. The goal is to stop paying twice for lessons your business already bought. Motion is not memory. And the agentic acquisition engine is not really just a concept here. It creates real files, real scripts. There's real QA records happening, real source extraction notes, real tracker rows, real task logs, real decisions with the reason behind them. Proof is not just a screenshot someone could fake in 5 minutes. Proof is a system that leaves receipts for every move it makes. That is also why it could run without you babysitting every step. Instead of re explaining the process every time, the work runs as repeatable commands. The system loads the context, it runs the step, it logs what it did, and it cues what should happen next. That means less re explaining, fewer dropped handoffs, cleaner QA, and fewer manual rebuilds. Your team starts the work instead of recreating the process every time. So here's how it works: it starts with a free acquisition audit, no cost, no pressure, just to find where your chain is leaking before you spend another dollar trying to fix the wrong thing. Now, this is not for everyone. If you are looking for a $300 ad setup and a few quick options, this is not the right fit. If you do not have an offer, you do not know who you sell to, or you are not ready to look honestly at your funnel, this is not the right fit either. But if you are running enough advertising that the mess is starting to cost real money, this may be exactly what you needed before hiring another media buyer or giving another agency a chance. From there, you choose your depth. You can start with clarity, you could fix one operating layer, or you could have the full acquisition engine installed across your ads, funnel, tracking, CRM, follow up, reporting, and optimization. You're not buying isolated ads, you're choosing how much of the chain you want installed and remembered. So if you made it this far, I want to thank you. And I also want to extend the invitation for you to go ahead and book that free TubeScale Pro acquisition audit. Bring your current ads and everything you think is your biggest bottleneck, whether your leak is like lead gen, your demo calls, leads vanishing after the click, or numbers that just nobody trusts. The audit's going to show which layer matters first. We will map out where your memory is leaking, where the signal is breaking, and what needs to be fixed first. Worst case, you walk away with a cleaner view of what is actually broken. Best case, you finally install the acquisition engine your business has been missing: a proper media buyer, an agentic memory layer, a front end that learns from itself. So go ahead, click below, book that audit, and let's stop making your next campaign pay for lessons your last campaign already bought.